Thank you, Sadhguru. We're a bit early. I've been told there are so many people who are sad at ending Sanam. If one is sad, it's about time that we left. And as you've been announced, we are leaving. This is the last session at Sanam. There's several questions have been put. You can't possibly expect all those questions to be answered. There are too many. Probably it'll take several days to answer them. And I don't think we'll stand several days more. And the speaker has not seen these questions, but they've been very carefully chosen. Before going to these questions which you have put, may I put you some questions? May I? Are you quite sure? Why do you come here? That's a good question. What is the raison d'être, or the cause of your coming? We're asking the question. Is it curiosity? Is it the reputation the speaker has built for the last 80 years? Is it the beauty of this valley, marvelous mountains, the flowing river, and the great shadows and lovely hillside, or the telesiège? What one has brought us here? If it is serious, that is, we are concerned with our daily life, the way we are living it, the problems that we have, probably of every kind. Old age, death, sex, the whole invasion of problems our brain is so used to. Does one expect, if one may ask seriously, for someone to tell how to live, how to examine, what to do? Is that the reason you are here? Or is it that one wants to see what one is actually as we are sitting here and examine that very closely and see if we can go beyond that? Is that the reason? So, You cannot possibly answer all those questions. One asks, I'm asking you, speaker is asking you, what is it all about? You understand? The speaker has been in this valley for 28 years. And the thing has been going on in this Sanan or Zanan for 25 years. A great deal of time of our life. And if one may ask the question of you, what at the end of it all, what it remains, what is the content of our life? Is there any breaking of the pattern? Or the pattern mold is being repeated over and over and over again? You understand my question? The constant concentrated habits that one has seem so difficult to break. Habit of thought, habit of one's everyday life. When we look at all that after 28 years or 25 years, is there a breaking of that pattern in which we live? Or just carry on, day after day, adding a little more, taking away a little more, and at the end of one's existence, regret, feel guilty that one has not lived differently. Is this the process that we are going through? I'm asking the question. Here are all the questions you have put to the speaker. What is it all about? Our life? All the things that are happening around us, the appalling things that are happening in Afghanistan and so on. Is it all just out there, far away from this lovely land? And so on. Where are we as individuals in this whole pattern of existence? Right? I'm asking you. What is the residue that remains in this sieve? You know what a sieve is? When you wash vegetable or rice, other things. So what remains in us? So I've stopped asking questions. Are we aware of what's happening to us in our daily thought? Or was one aware of every emotion, reaction, response, habits? Or is it just flowing by like a river? Which would you like to answer? these questions first. What do you mean by creation? Various teachers, gurus, say that essentially they are giving the same teaching as you. What do you say? You understand this question? What is guilt? One is desperate because the actions that caused the guilt can never be eradicated. Right? I can go on reading these questions. Which should you like to be answered first? The gurus, what is creation? Oh, I forgot. Guilt. Can we start with various teachers, right? Various teachers, gurus, say that essentially they are giving the same teaching as you. What do you say? Various teachers, gurus, say that essentially they are giving the same teaching as you. How do you respond to the question, to that statement, right? I wonder why they compare themselves with the speaker. I wonder, one questions why they should even consider that what the speaker is saying is what we are also saying. Why do they say these things? I know this is a fact. Both in India, Europe, and in America, there are various trumped up gurus, various groups say, yes, we are also going to the same thing along the same river as you are doing. This has been stated to me, to the speaker personally, and we have discussed this matter with these gurus, with these local or foreign, what do you call them, leaders. We've gone to this question. First of all, why do they compare what they are saying with K? Why do they maintain that? You understand? What is the intention behind it? Is it to ride the same bandwagon? You understand? Is it because they think they may not be quite, but by comparing themselves with K, they might become quite. So, in talking over with them, with some of them, we went into it. First of all, I doubt what they are saying, and I doubt the speaker's own experiences. There's a doubt, disbelief. Not saying, yes, quite right, we are doing this, we are in the same boat. So if we could approach this question with doubt, with a certain sense of skepticism, on both sides. Those who say we are along the same, rowing the same boat on the same river, perhaps they are far ahead, the speaker is far behind, but it's still the same river. So in speaking with them, as the doubt, question, demand, and as you push further and further and further, deeper and deeper, they come to an end. And at the end of it, the speaker has heard many of them. What you say is perfect, is the truth. Your embodied truth and all that business. So they say, etc. And they salute and go away saying, we have to deal with ordinary people, so this is only for the elite. I said, double nonsense. You understand? So, why do we at all compare not only between various, my guru is better than your guru, right? Why can't we look at things as they are? Questioning, doubting, asking, demanding, exploring, right? Never saying our side is better than your side, or this side is better than that side, or that we're all doing the same thing. The other day I heard saying, what you're speaking, so am I speaking. What's the difference? I said, none at all. We use the same language, English or French, a little bit of Italian. We use the same language. But the content, the depth that lies behind the word may be quite different. We are so easily satisfied with explanations, with descriptions, with sense of, all the eclat, all the glory, all the paraphernalia. And we are impressed by all that. Our brains don't work very simply. That's one of my questions I would like to ask you. Have you watched, seeing how your brain works? Watch, as an outsider, watching your brain in action. You understand? Have you ever done it? Or the brain is carrying on in its old habits, beliefs, dogmas, rituals, or business, and so on, just mechanically carrying on. If I may ask, is your brain like that? Silence. Have you ever watched one thought chasing another thought? Series of associations, series of memories, holding on to your own experience. The other day, in America, a person whom we have known for some time, said that that person lived according to his experience. His experience has told him. Right? His experience was real, actual, very deep. And that experience is all important to him. We can't compete with that. And we said, why don't you doubt your experience? I mean, actually. It may be actual, it may be imaginary, it may be romantic, all the sentimentality and all the rest of it. Why don't you doubt that very thing that you say, my experience tells me, inwardly. And one has not seen that person again. You understand? So, is it not necessary to be aware of all these things? Why they compare? Why they say we're all in the same boat? We may be in the same boat. Probably we are, all of us. But why assume we are in the same boat with you? You understand? Is it the desire to, oh, I don't know, you know all about it, don't you? So can we not accept any guru, any leader, including especially the speaker? Never accept anything psychologically except that we have watched ourselves in our relationship, we watched our speech, the voice, the tone of the voice, the words we use, all that. Can one be all day or some time of the day be aware of all that? And then perhaps you don't need any guru, any leader, any book, including that of the speaker. Then there's something totally different takes place when one is really attentive. Right? May we go to the next question? Good Lord. Guilt. I don't have to read the question. It's all rather mixed up here. Why do we feel guilty? You know what that word means? Culpability. Kupa. Why do we feel guilty? Many people do. It tortures their life. There becomes enormous problem. And that's the background of guilt with many, many people. Guilt in not believing, in guilt not being the rest of the group, guilt, the feeling of guilt, not the word, the feeling behind that word, that we have done something wrong and feel guilty about remorse, anxious, therefore frightened, uncertain. And this guilt is a very distorting factor in our life. This is obvious. So why do we have this feeling? At Brockwood there are no trains, no aeroplanes. We can talk quietly together, but you will miss these mountains. Probably that's why you are sad. We're asking, why do we have this feeling of remorse? Is it that we have not done something which is correct, which is not pragmatic, which is not put together by environment against which we have to go? The guilt of a man who feels, or a woman who feels, he hasn't supported the war of his own country. The various forms of guilt and the causes of it. We're asking, why does this feeling exist? Is it because we are not responsible? You understand? We are not responsible, demanding the excellence of ourselves. You following me? No, just a minute. Is it, the question the speaker is asking, is it that we are all lazy, indolent, inattentive, and therefore slightly irresponsible, and facing that irresponsibility, we feel guilty? I've followed somebody, suppose I've followed somebody, my guru, who has indulged in all kinds of things, sex and so on. And I too have, as he does. But he changes his mind. He's become old. And he said no more. And his disciples said no more. You understand? One has done all these things to follow that guru, and the guru has got rather old and said no more. And I feel macho, I shouldn't have done this, I've been wrong. You follow? The whole issue of guilt. Why? And how do we deal with it? That's more important. How do we know or feel, have the remorse of being not what we are? And therefore, doing things which cause us damage. And therefore, the mountains echo more noise, they create more noise. So let us find out how to deal with it. Let's find out what to do about it, shall we? Not investigate the causes of it. We know I haven't done something which is not proper, which is not correct, which is not true. And I realize later the action which has produced that is rather regrettable, unfortunate, causing unhappiness to others, and I feel guilty. And various forms of the same thing having different causes, right? So what shall we do when we have guilt, and how to deal with it, right? How would you deal with it? What's your approach to it? You understand my question? How do you come near the problem? Is it that you want it resolved? That you want it wiped away? So that your brain is no longer caught in that. So how do you approach it? With the desire to resolve it? You understand? To be free of guilt? How do you come to it? That's very important, isn't it? How you approach a problem. If you have a direction for that problem, it must be solved that way or that way. As long as there is a direction, you follow? Or a motive, then that motive or direction directs the issue. You understand? So do we approach a problem like this, guilt, without any motive? You understand my question? Or always approach any problem with a motive? Right? I wonder, are we meeting this thing together? Is it possible to approach a problem without any sense of the background knowledge, which is motive, and look at it as though for the first time? Can we do that? Is that a So there are two things involved. How you approach and what is a problem, right? You have problems, Lispa. Many, many of them. Why? Not only problems of money, sex, It's a lovely morning. Clear blue sky without a cloud, and they're having fun. What is a problem? Not that we are condemning the problem or saying it must be solved this way or that way. We are questioning the problem itself, the word, and the content of that word, an issue, something which you have to answer. Whether it's business problem, family problem, sexual problem, spiritual problem, spiritual problem, problems of whom to follow, leader, political, it's a problem. Why do we have problems? Could we ask them to go somewhere else? All right. So first let's examine the word problem. According to dictionary, a problem means something thrown at you, right? Something propelled against you, right? A challenge, a thing that you have to answer, right? The meaning of that word is something thrown at you, right? And we call that a problem. Why does our brain have problems? You understand my question? Maybe we go into it a little bit, right? Please don't accept anything the speaker says, anything. But let's examine it together. Let us explore into this question, the problem. From childhood, when you can we all shout at him to buzz off? From childhood, when you sent a girl or a boy to school, he has to learn how to read and write, right? Read, write, and the child has never read or written, so reading becomes a problem to him, right? And as he grows up, his brain has been trained to problems, right? Obvious. School, have to learn mathematics, chemistry, biology, science, physics, in the whole college, high school, college, university, whole process of that, learning all that, is a problem, and so the brain is conditioned in problems, right? This is a fact. My wife becomes a problem, to her I become a problem, business, God, everything is a problem. how to live, what to do, etc., and so on, so on. So our brain, your brain, is conditioned, educated to live with problems. This is a fact, not an invention by the speaker. Right? It is so. So our whole life living becomes a problem. Right? So can we look at this as a fact, not as an idea or a theory, but as a fact, and see what we can do? Whether the brain can be free to solve problems, not approach it with a mind that's already crowded with problems. Is that a question? You understand my question? No? I've been to school. I've been to a school. There I'm not interested in anything the teacher is saying. I'm looking at out of the window, enjoying myself. He bangs me on the head. And I come to. And he said, right. He holds my hand, guides it, and I say, it has become, I say, good Lord, I must learn. You follow? It becomes a problem, right? And I have to learn not only reading, writing, mathematics, geography, history, politics, you know. So my whole education, I'm not against education, but I'm pointing out, my whole education becomes a tremendous problems. And if I can pass PhD, become somebody, it's still a problem. So the brain from childhood is conditioned to live with problems, right? Now, our question is it possible to be free of problems and then attack problems? Do you understand? There are problems. But I cannot resolve them unless the brain is free. If it is not free, in the solution of one problem, other problems are created, like in politics. I don't know if you're aware of it. The poor chaps solve one problem, and there are a dozen problems involved in it. And they can't deal with a dozen problems. They move away from that and tackle something else and keep on this, right? So, the speaker is asking, can we be free of problems? First, not uncondition the problem, uncondition the brain, which has been educated to live with problems. Right? Is it clear? At last. Now let's proceed. Is it possible? You answer me. Is it possible to be free and then tackle problems? Good Lord, what a noisy place this is. How do you answer that question? Do you say it is possible? Or do you say, no, it's impossible? When you say it's possible or impossible, you've already blocked yourself, right? You've already closed the doors. You have prevented yourself from investigating, going into the question, right? So, we are saying to free the brain from its educated world of problems? It's conditioned. Can that brain be unconditioned? First, I must understand the question, what the question involves. Investigate that. Then come to the point, can it be free from its condition? You understand? What do you do or not do? Don't go to sleep, please. What do you do or not do? That is, how do you listen to the noise of that train, the rattling? How do you listen to it? Is it there? How do you listen to it? Do you resist it? Or, I won't tell you further, do you resist it? Or do you say, it's part of life, let it through? You understand? This noise is going on, the rattle, the vulgarity, all the music, so-called music, is pouring, right? Do you resist all that? Or let it flow away? You understand? So, here is a question. Is it possible to free the brain from the condition of this education which has brought about a state in which the brain is conditioned, and to be free of that condition? May I go into it? Right? I'm going into it, speaker is going to it, not to convince you of anything, just to show. You pass by a window and you look at the window, the shop, look at all the dresses and all the things are in it, and you go away from it and look at another shop. You are window shopping. You are not to do anything, just find out what he is saying. Listen to what he is saying. Not accepting or denying, just look, listen. The brain is conditioned to this whole culture of problems. Is conditioned to that. That's a nice word, culture of problems. And is the conditioned brain different from the observer? You understand my question? Is the brain, my brain, different from me, who is analyzing, looking, tearing, examining, accepting, not? Is that observer, right? The person who says, I'm looking at it, is he different from the brain? You understand my question? It's a very simple question, don't complicate it. Is anger, greed, envy different from me? Or I am angry. Anger is me. Greed is me. The quality is me. Right? There is no difference. But culture, education has made us separate the two. Right? There is envy I am different from it, I must control it or indulge in it. Right? And thereby there is conflict. I don't feel following what. Or is violence me? Violence is not something different from me. Me is violent. Do you see this? Do we see this? Once one realizes this fact, there is no difference from the quality of me, then there is totally different movement taking place, right? There is no conflict. You understand? There is no conflict. As long as there is separation, there is conflict in me, right? Now, I've realized this, that I am the quality. I am violence. The me is greedy, envious, jealous, and all the rest of it. So I've abolished altogether this division in me. I am that. Not I am the supreme. Sanskrit, I won't go into it. I am that quality. So, can my brain remain with that fact? Stay with that fact? You understand my question? Right? Can I stay? Can my brain, which is so active, so alive, thinking, watching, listening, trying, effort, can that brain stay with the fact that I am that? Stay with it. Not run away, not try to control. Because the moment you control, there is a controller and the controlled. Therefore, they become separate, right? Please, and very simple. If you really grasp this truth, this fact, you eliminate altogether effort. Effort means contradiction. Effort means I am different from that. Or I'm, all that business. So once you see the actual fact, not the idea, but the actuality that you are your quality, your anger, your envy, your jealousy, your hate, your uncertainty, your confusion, you are that. Not verbally acknowledge or verbally agree, then you don't meet each other. But if you actually see this fact and stay with it, when you stay with it, what is implied in that? Attention, right? No movement away from it, right? Just stay with it. Not if you have acute pain, you can't stay with it. But if you psychologically stay with it, inwardly see, yes, it is so. That means no movement, right? I wonder if you follow. No movement away from this fact. So when there is no movement away from the fact, the essence is no conflict. Then you have broken the pattern of the brain, right? Because it's I must do something, but what is the right thing to do? Who will tell me the right thing to do? You follow? I must go to a psychiatrist. All that stuff takes place. But once you hold the jewel, it's like holding a jewel, marvelously put together, carved. And you are holding it, you are looking at it, seeing all the inside, outside, how it is put together. The platinum, the gold, the diamonds, all that, you watch it. Because you are the jewel. You are the center of all this, most intricate, subtle jewel of which you are. Moment one sees that fact, the whole thing is different, right? So, guilt. Sorry, we've gone away from it. We had to. Guilt. It's not a problem. You understand now? It's a fact. It's not something to be resolved, something to be got over. You have done something which is a fact, and you feel guilty, that's a fact, and you stay with it. Like a jewel, you stay with it. Rather unpleasant jewel, but it is still a jewel. So you stay with it. When you stay with it, it begins to, please listen, it begins to flower and wither away. Vous avez compris ça? Like a flower, if you keep on pulling see if the roots are working properly, the flower will never bloom. But once you see the fact which is the seed, and then stay with it, then it becomes, it shows itself fully. All the implications of guilt, all the implications of its subtlety, where it hides, it's like a flower blooming. And if you let it bloom, not say I must do that, not do, then it begins to wither away and die. So please understand this. With every issue, you can do that. About God, about anything. Then you have an insight into all that. That is insight, not merely remembrance adding. Is this clear? If you discover it, it is something psychologically enormously a factor that frees you from all the past struggles and present struggles and efforts. What do you mean by creation? Shall we go into that? It's a rather complex problem. I'll read the question again. What do you mean by creation? What the speaker means. And I would like to put to you that question. A lot of people talk about creation, right? They're all talking about it. The physicists, and the philosophers, and the theological philosophers, right? God created, and so on. This is a very serious question which the ancient Hindus, the ancient Hebrews have put this question. Not merely recent scientists. This has been a tremendous problem, an issue that they want to understand. May we go into this? Are you interested in it? What is creation? When you ask that question, you must also ask the question, what is invention? Is invention creation? You understand? I, in a laboratory, a scientist in a laboratory is experimenting, right? And he comes upon something new. He patents it, right? And makes money out of it and all the rest of it. The invention, that is to invent something new, is that creation? Look careful, please don't agree or disagree. Just look at it. Invention is based on knowledge, right? You are following this? It's based on somebody's previous experiments. All that those experiments are knowledge in the present, and you add to it. This is so. The man who invented the jet without the propeller, first he knew all about the propeller, the internal combustion machinery, and the propeller. Then that knowledge was not enough. He put aside that knowledge, waited, and then got an idea from the knowledge. You follow? First he had to have knowledge about the propeller, internal, etc. machinery. Then a new idea came in, which is the jet. Right? I may be putting it incorrectly or exaggeratedly, but this is so. That is, the theoretical physicists, or scientists of every kind, first have knowledge, even minute knowledge, right? Or great deal of knowledge. From that, a new inspiration comes. And that inspiration is an invention. Yeah, so we are adding all the time, right? And is that creation, which is based on knowledge and the consequences of knowledge? You understand? Is that creation? Or creation has nothing to do with knowledge? You understand my question? Either creation is a series of inventions in the universe, black hole, or they discover something new and they're adding to that knowledge, previous knowledge. And obviously, when they look at Mars, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, and go beyond, they know what Venus is made of, various gases, and so on, so on, so on. But what they have translated as gases, that's not Venus. Vous avez compris? Come on, says. The word Venus is not Venus. the gases made up, which constitutes Venus, is not that beauty which you see early in the morning or late in the evening. Right? So we are asking, is invention totally different from creation? Which means creation has nothing whatever to do with knowledge. You're going to find this rather difficult if you don't mind. If you kindly, if you're not too tired, if you have still the energy to investigate, we'll go into it. We're asking, we know what invention is. Don't accept what the speaker is saying. That would be terrible. It will destroy you. Merely say, yes, 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 yes. It destroy your brain as it been destroyed by others. The speaker has no intention to destroy your brain or add to the already damaged brain. Right? So he says, have skepticism, question, don't accept or deny, just find out. We know what is invention. At least to the speaker it's very clear. That doesn't mean it is clear to you. We're asking, what is creation? We have to answer this question in 10 minutes. What is creation? Is it related to man's endeavor? Is it related to all his experiences? To the million years of duration of time? Please examine all this. Which means, is it related to war, to killing, to business, to all the memories that man has accumulated? Acquired, accumulated, gathered. If it is, then it's still part of knowledge, right? Therefore, it cannot be creation, right? So what is creation? Is it related? Please listen. Listen, don't do anything about it, you can't. Is it related to love? That is, love is not hate, jealousy, anxiety, uncertainty. The love of your wife, which is the love of the image that you have built about your wife, or your husband, your girlfriend, or the image you have built about your guru, for whom you have great devotion, or for the image in a temple, mosque, and churches. So we're asking, is love necessary for creation? Or is love, which is also compassion, is that love, compassion, creation? And is creation or love related to death? You understand all these questions? You understand? I'm sorry to say you do understand, so I withdraw that. You are just listening. So, is love free from all the human beings that have given specific meaning to that word. Free from all that. Is love related to death? And is love, compassion, and death, all that is creation? Can there be creation without death? That is, ending. Ending all knowledge. Vedanta. You've heard that word, I'm sure. The word Vedanta means the end of knowledge. Not all the theories, commentaries, and all that. That's not. But the end of knowledge, which is death, which means no time, timeless, which is love. You understand? Sorry, I won't repeat that. Stupid of me to repeat. So love, death. Love means compassion. Love, compassion means supreme intelligence. Not the intelligence of books and scholars, experience. That's necessary at a certain level. But that intelligence, quintessence of all intelligence, when there is love, compassion. There cannot be compassion and love without death, which is the ending of everything. Then there is creation. That is, the universe, not according to this astrophysics and scientists, but the universe is supreme order. Of course, sunrise and sunset. Supreme order. And that order can only exist when there is supreme intelligence. And that intelligence cannot exist without compassion, love, and death. That this is not a process of meditation, but deep, profound inquiry. Inquiry with great silence. Not I am investigating. Great silence, great space, that which is essentially love and compassion and death. There is that intelligence which is creation. Creation is only there when the other two are there, death and love. Everything else is invention.